Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to focus your eyes on the mainstream media and how they are not educating or not informing you. So yesterday I took a look at the top stories of the mainstream media. 6 of them involved black men in various crimes. This is national news, national headlines. One of them involved George Zimmerman and beating his wife, and the others involved Syria. There was no mention of the sub-orbital spaceship flight. That's right. We're on the verge of breaking into space flight, and they're concentrating on black men as criminals. It is more of the same all the time. Now let's just take a look at and focus at those stories just a bit. And this goes to black people and white people, because I believe the white people in general are completely oblivious as to what is really happening. So we have one black guy who was a kidnapper and a rapist. In the national data and according to statistics, the overwhelming largest group of people who engage in both kidnapping and rape are actually white. So what the mainstream media is trying to do is once again destroy the black community by presenting this story as a focal point so that it sticks into your brain that black people can be rapists too. And if not, that it will completely overtake your complete notion, because Americans have very small memories, that rapist equals black men. There was a couple of other cases involving black people doing something that is completely unusual. I can't remember the cases right now. That is completely unusual for black people, but it made headline national news. So I want you to think really hard. I want you to focus on this. What are they trying to do? Are they trying to report a story? No, because a local story about a local guy doing some local crime has absolutely nothing to do with national attention being focused on it. But what are they trying to do? They're trying to paint the picture that black people are violent criminals. 75% of the black people in jail now are first-time personal users of marijuana. That's correct. So 75% of the black people in jail are not there for any violent crimes whatsoever at all. The overwhelming majority of violent crimes are overrepresented by the white population of criminals in jail. Black people are not the violent criminals that the mainstream media tries to portray them to be. Now, Mrs. Dr. Anderson, I believe that is her name, wrote The New Jim Crow. If you want to check out the statistics, you can read that in her book. So there were 6 different black men on national news who committed various crimes, obviously not worthy of national attention. And then, of course, George Zimmerman, who was made famous by shooting a black teenager, it was George Zimmerman versus some black teenager that he racially profiled, stalked, and hunted down and ultimately shot. And I already made a video of saying that not to focus on it, and that should not be national attention. But once again, we have the name George Zimmerman in the news of him beating his wife and threatening her with a gun. And so they're trying to resurrect that ghost so that you don't look at what's really going on. And again, the other stories were about Syria. So we're talking about Syria, and then we're talking about Putin. We're talking about France. We're talking about Putin versus France, Russia versus France, and they possibly going to war at each other directly over Syria, and talking about oil and talking about the chemical weapons. When you take a look at that, the White House actually did absolutely no research whatsoever when they looked at the chemical weapons, because Russia and China still has diplomats in Syria, unlike the United States. Kind of crazy, huh? The Chinese and Russian experts went, looked, and did forensic evidence on the chemical weapons and found that all of the missiles, if you will, which were really not missiles, but it's the how they got the weapons out there, were all homemade. So it's not military grade, not national grade, not corporate made or anything like that. They were all homemade, and the actual delivery system of the chemical weapons themselves did not have all of the stabilizers in the chemical weapons that a military grade chemical weapon would have. So the only people that points to are the Al-Qaeda invaders, right? So again, one of the chief White House staffers of the Clinton and Bush administrations said that the Obama administration has absolutely done no research into any of this, the allegations of chemical weapons. He's done absolutely no diplomacy. They're trying to put forth that Assad killed hundreds of thousands of people. She said, no, there has absolutely been no research done into that, and that is just a talking point by, I would call them, liars. This entire thing is made up just as an excuse to go to war. And she said the same thing was done in Iraq, the same thing that was done in Afghanistan, Libya, over and over and over. The Beltway, or Washington D.C., does absolutely no research. They simply do what they want to do and strike when they want to strike. No questions asked. And of course, when you take a look at it, who's behind it? Of course, it's Wall Street or something like that. The military industrial complex. So all of those headlines, which have to do with absolutely nothing, which is not going to tell you about the Benghazi investigation that is still going on. They're not going to tell you about the investigation into Eric Holder, where he actually may be asked to step down or actually prosecuted. They're not going to tell you about that. They're not going to tell you about potentially prosecuting Hillary Clinton. They're not going to tell you about that. These are the real stories. They're not going to tell you about the labor markets, which are the unemployment rate increasing. They're not going to tell you about that. They're not going to tell you about the labor pool shrinking even more. No, they're going to have a headline that says, although no new jobs were created, more people were hired. That doesn't make any sense. That headline doesn't make absolutely any sense. And you can find it, just go to the Google News or Yahoo News, and you'll find that exact headline. Type it in. We have the most significant innovation in human history, space travel, by two different companies, private companies, and not a peep out of the mainstream media. They're not covering this. They're covering George Zimmerman, who beat his wife. I don't care who George Zimmerman beat or who he threatened with a gun. He's a piece of crap. I don't care about him. And he's local to Florida. I don't care. I don't care. I care about what they should be concentrating on is Colorado. Colorado voting out the Democrats who tried to shove gun control down their throats, and who, even after they got ousted, still said, I don't regret anything at all. Well, yeah, you should regret it. You should regret it because you're against the Constitution. That's what they should be focusing on. They should be focusing on a spaceship test. A spaceship test? A real life spaceship test, and they're not focusing on it night and day, 24 hours a day? What the hell is going on? Anyway, tell me what you think about this, and thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show. Be sure to subscribe so that you get more hard-hitting reports like this, and like the video so that other people can see it. The likes actually allow other people to see it because it increases the video up in rank. Thank you for watching.